Second question. Is my PowerPoint being highlighted, or is the camera being highlighted? And can you see if I'm animating properly when I'm doing this? Hello, hi everyone. Does my setup work so far? Yeah, cool. Hi, cool. So long as naka-maximize naman lahat dito, this should totally be working. All right, so we'll get started now, if you guys don't mind. Let me just quickly. Okay. All right. So let's get started. So first of all, hi. I'd like to show myself for a bit and say hi. I'm Anthony Charles Coralejo, Charlie, and I'm going to be telling you and talking to you about multimedia arts. And then afterwards, I'm going to be doing a quick lesson on lighting for video as a kind of demo of what multimedia arts lessons are like. So yeah, we're going to be talking about multimedia arts. Oh, going out. Right. So here's the deal. Today, I'm going to be teaching you about, I'm going to be giving you guys an introduction to multimedia, what it is, why it's important, what it's all about. I'm going to be telling you what people normally do with multimedia arts, why is it important to the world that we live in, and down the line, let's say any of you become interested in taking multimedia arts as a course, what that means in the future for somebody like you, right? Let's say, I take multimedia arts. What does that mean for me then? After I graduate, after I know and I'm knowledgeable about multimedia arts, how do I then use that in practice as a profession, right? But after that, I'm going to be doing a quick lesson on video production, a quick lesson on lighting, how to improve any kind of situation with lighting, how to use lighting as a storytelling component, and how to kind of standardize, at least a quick guide and lesson on how lighting is standardized, right? Before we push forward though, can I just get a quick vibe from the room, Ren? Who here is already considering multimedia arts as a course, as a thing they might want to take, as a thing they might want to go to in the future? Or if you've already, I'm not sure what kind of audience we have right now, Ren naman. Like, sino dito sa audience ngayon yung my general understanding na of what multimedia arts is, Ren? Can we get some anybody in the chat? Just to say, is chat available for everyone, ba, actually? Okay. Anybody have any idea what multimedia arts is? Or is already interested in taking multimedia arts kaya? Anybody out there? No? Hindi ko alam kung lumalabas na properly yung chat ko today. Wait lang ah. I keep hearing. Okay. I guess no one's replying naman, but I'll just continue anyway. In a general way, or in a, I guess, condensed way of saying, okay, I'll show you what being a multimedia professional means muna, by at least explaining what I do, what I've gone through, what me as a practitioner of multimedia arts does. All right. So let me explain who I am first. Who am I? Again, I'm Anthony Charles Coralejo. You can call me Charlie. I'm a director, I'm an editor, I'm a graphic designer, and an animator. All of these jobs that I take and use and pursue are all parts of the umbrella that is multimedia arts. So the easy way of describing me would be to say that I'm a multimedia artist, right? That means that I'm an artist that creates multimedia, right? When we talk about the things that I do, like me being a director, me being an editor, it is in line with creating things for multimedia. And in this way, I've managed to create videos and direct videos for clients like Jollibee, Nike, Twitter, Ford, Mega World, Ayala, mga local and international brands that you might be familiar with, right? Apart from that, past being somebody who specializes in video and shooting, I'm also an animator and a graphic designer, meaning I'm also practiced in creating illustrations, creating designs, and animating them. And I've been doing that again for lots of different clients like Sephora, Carousel, Twitter, NFL, Nike, and the like, right? So with that, I've managed to be working as a multimedia artist for around 17 years now. And to be perfectly honest, I started working even before I got into college. That's how in love I was with the idea of being a multimedia artist from the start. Kasi before pa ako tumama ng college, I already knew, okay, this is what I wanted to do. I started pursuing it since then pa lang. Right? But this isn't the path for everyone. Not everyone does something like this. Because not everyone generally understands ano ba talaga yung multimedia arts, right? So when, especially during the time na I was growing up, Ren, it was hard to have to explain to anybody if you wanted to pursue multimedia arts, especially if your family or parents aren't well versed, Ren. It's hard to explain to them what it is really, right? Wait lang. Keep hearing chat voice, chat notifications, pero parang wala lumalabas. Okay. Again, I throw up the question. I'll bring up the chat again. I'll throw up the question again. If anybody has already any prior idea what multimedia is, or to keep it simpler, what media is. Does anybody have any idea what media is? What they think media is, or have any examples of what media is? Anybody? Pwede sa chat lang. Although I also encourage you guys to just turn on your cameras and so on if you guys want to say something. Hello? Anybody there? All right, from Jo Zaplan, video, social media, or photo. Social media is a good example of multimedia, actually. Photos and video, good idea of media. Thank you, Jo. Chesley says media are communication outlets and platforms. Very good definition, actually. You're very, very correct there. It's a means of communication, but yep. Film and visual arts are good examples of media. Yep, pretty much. Any more? Couple more answers before I continue. Includes mass communication. We'll get there. Major complicated answer, but yeah. It doesn't. It's hard to say it includes mass communication. More like it's how mass communication happens. I would answer that, Margaret. Okay. Again, before we even say what multimedia is, that's down the line rin naman talaga. We have to first dive in and ask ourselves, what's media first? Before we go to multimedia, what is media first? And a lot of your answers are correct, really. Right? You have a lot of visual arts like movies, TV, animations, and print that all have to do with things that you see, things that you watch, things that you perceive with your eyes, and so on. And you have print, radio, and music that kind of go beyond just seeing, especially for something like print. You might have comics and graphic novels and graphic design in general, that you can visually see something that is communicated to you. But print goes beyond that because print goes into language. Print goes into using words to try to tell you a story, try to communicate something to you, right? Past that, you also have radio and music, wherein you go even further than that, and you don't just use what you perceive with your eyes, but you also use what you perceive with your ears. And in that sense, you perceive, you receive any kinds of communication, right? So when you say movies or TV, it's not just or actually any of these. When you say any of these kinds of media, it's not just for the means of entertainment rin kasi, right? You have to understand media as not just as a means to tell you stories, but also as a means to tell you facts and news and information. When you think about media, it's not just the TV shows that we watch. It's not just mga teleserye or mga noontime show na pinapanood natin. It's also, if we think about news, if we think about the things that happen to us day by day, we talk about news media. That's also media, right? In that sense, the simpler way of thinking about media nga talaga is anything that is used for mass communication, right? And we've been using a lot of these things for hundreds of years, right? If we think about something like print, right? We've been using print for the written media as a means of mass communication for centuries, right? But something, for example, like radio and film. Radio was invented 130 years ago. Film, 110 years ago, right? It's not as old as print, for example, and that hasn't been great until much more recently, right? For when we think about radio and video and music, the way that it's used as a mass form of communication, mas gumanda lang talaga siya more recently over the past few decades, right? But then we start to ask then, what is multimedia, right? Multimedia can be thought of as a super medium, right? It consolidates many of the previously discrete non-combinable products of human communication, like film, video, text, and print, and so on, and combines them and starts mixing them up to work together. So when you think about multimedia, the easier way of thinking of multimedia is, okay, it's a combination. Hindi siya basta-basta isang thing na lang. When you think about multimedia, you think about it as, okay, it's and video working together, for example. That's example of multimedia. Or text and graphics working together and interaction becoming something that's been added, right? So a big chunk of what multimedia is now, to kind of explain, is brought about by what happened in the 90s, right? Although the internet wasn't invented in the 90s, it became big in the 90s. And I'm assuming a lot of you weren't even alive then. Pero, naabutan, so for the people who were alive by then already, naabutan nyo, may time na walang internet, and then suddenly may internet na. And as soon as the internet came about, the world changed in a huge way because suddenly, pwede na natin ma-experience lahat ng media in the same place. Lahat ng media happening at the same place at the same time. That place being mostly the internet. And although ngayon, it's not just the internet anymore. So when you think about media, we're talking about pieces of media that we create for the internet or for the internet age. This is a good example of what I mean, right? We think about for something for YouTube, right? If you think YouTube, a lot of you might be thinking, okay, it's for videos, right? Yes, sure. But you have to be particular in with everything else that you see when you're using YouTube. You look at YouTube, you think, okay, yeah, videos, but you have to understand people are creating the graphics and the icons for the logos. So that you have graphic design working in there na. You have web designers creating text and content for all of the layouts and so on that you see in the YouTube page. Another level of multimedia coming together and working together instead of just being individual pieces of media, right? And even in YouTube, you can experience music in a different way. You're watching music, right? You're not just listening to music lang in YouTube. When you're in YouTube, you click on a song or a music video you wanna experience. You play it but you also watch it, right? And that goes on with a lot of other things that we use. For example, like if we use Instagram, it's another good form of multimedia because again, you have lots of different kinds of media playing together at the same time. You have videos, music, you have text and content being written together, working together, being part of the same thing. And this goes and plays around a lot, Ren. I'm glad somebody said social media earlier because social media is the best example, Ren, of multimedia because of how there's so many things coming into play, even in just our regular lives na lang rin, right? If I'm like a huge funny change in life that happened in the past few decades is how everyone participates in multimedia now, right? Everyone is taking part of multimedia in a huge way, and they might not even know it. So the next time that your parents or anybody, your family member goes like, ano ba yung multimedia na yan? Di ko gets. Try to explain them this because it's kind of funny. Because it's hard to say now na hindi nag-YouTube or hindi nag-Facebook yung family members nyo. Kasi they're already experiencing it. They're already participating in multimedia in such a huge way na hindi pa na napapansin na parang, okay, ginagawa na pala namin ito. Right? So yeah, those are my examples of multimedia. And if we think about our phones, for example, when you think about our phones, the UI in our phones, all the buttons and icons and apps in our phones, those were created by teams and teams of people who work not only on the written words that you see there, they work on the graphics, the animations, the visuals, and the videos that play on all of the apps that you use. Same goes for a lot of your online resources that everyone uses, Ren. If you think about YouTube, TikTok, Google, they all play together as something that works together in multimedia, right? And another big thing for me, as a lover of video games myself, video games is another great example of multimedia because you're coming together a lot of different aspects of media. You have visual media, you have music, and so on. But you have that special thing that not all kinds of media particularly has, which is interaction, right? It's not like you watch a movie in the cinema and then you affect whatever happens in the movie, right? Yun yung special about video games. When you're playing video games, if I want or choose to stop playing or I want to choose to do one thing or another, the character in the media that I am playing will do it, right? So that's the big difference between video games and, for example, movies and TV and so on. May agency ka eh. May ability ka to make a choice in a video game. Not something you can say about normal media. It's not like you can make a choice when you're listening to the radio, diba? You can do something like that when you're playing video games. Right? So, with all of that said, I hope may understanding naman tayo ngayon of multimedia. Why is multimedia important? It's because what I just said, Ren. At this point, we're all kind of enveloped and infatuated with multimedia. The way that social media works right now in the world, everyone's participating in it in a huge way. Mahirap sabihin na, again, na hindi na lang gumagamit ang tao ng Facebook or ng Twitter or ng TikTok or na hindi nila alam. It's hard for people to not be part of multimedia in a huge way. And the hard and difficult parts of those things now is there's such huge parts of the world that also misuse multimedia in a huge way. You can see that in your social media a lot, wherein somebody will say something, somebody will say, this fact. And wala ka ng choice. Sometimes wala kang choice to just believe it because you read it. And that's what's important about people and practitioners of multimedia for two very important reasons. One, practitioners of multimedia who really care would know how to properly communicate something as so that people won't misunderstand anything that you are trying to communicate to them. If you're a communicator, for example, for schools or maybe for hospitals and the government, then it would be important for you to know exactly how it is you're supposed to communicate something to the public so that they don't get confused, they don't get misinformed, and that they don't get scared down the line, right? Uh, on the other side of things, friend, the other reason why being a practitioner or being aware of multimedia is important is because understanding multimedia in the larger scale helps you be able to sort out the good ones from the bad. If you can look at a piece of news and already be able to discern and question, wait lang, totoo ba to? There's lots of ways to be able to discern that, and practitioners of multimedia kind of know that. They know it's something called being media literate. They know and understand when you look at media, they can look at it and go, wait lang, I can't just believe this just because somebody said so, right? There are reasons behind this, and therefore I should understand, right? And a lot of these reasons might go about behind, like, for example, oh wait, is this person who's saying this specific fact, may pagkikitaan ba siya by saying something like that? Okay. Yes or no? Okay. May advantage ba sa kanya to say something like that? Yes or no? Meron bang means of bias for that person to say that something is true or not, to say that something is a fact or not? As in, may bias ba yung tao na yun towards that fact? Do they want that to be true, whether or not it is true? So these are the different factors that come into line and come into like the purview of somebody who is a practitioner of multimedia. They can't just believe ng basta lang, right? Practitioners of multimedia know na since they practice multimedia in the sense of creating media and knowing what it takes to create media, they should know rin that anyone can create anything. And that becomes a dangerous tool on its own thing, on its own way, right? So, yeah, that's why it's important. It's important because wala naman takas eh. Everywhere around you, there's multimedia, right? And we have to be aware, we have to be careful of that no matter what. Pero, on the brighter side of things, tayo rin eh. We're all creators of multimedia. So, we have means of practicing and combating that naman. So, now I'll talk about quickly kung ano yung mga professions that are involved in multimedia. Right? I'd like to separate these, although hindi man limited to these three, right? I'd like to separate it to these main ones that more or less most people understand and know. There's the graphic design portion of it, there's the video production portion of it, and there's the music production portion of it. So for graphic designers, you have professionals pretty much who specialize in solving communication problems with graphics, right? It's people who understand, okay, if I draw an arrow, turn it into a sign and put it in the road, people will know to look right where that arrow is pointing, right? If I put, like, there is and are ways for people to be manipulated, to be informed and communicated to using visuals only, right? Human beings are multi-sensory beings. So we understand and perceive the world through many ways, but our visual ways of perceiving the world are very strong, and that's why graphic designers are also in their own way very powerful, because they can convince people to do things that they're not even aware of. You have graphic designers who specialize in, for example, environmental designers. Environmental designers are people who put graphics into spaces and make things make easier sense. Again, when I said na for example, how you would see arrows that point towards directions, like in malls, for example, if it says this way to the restroom, it's really easy for you to know na that is where it's simply pointing that to me. Or that's also a graphic designer who came up with something like that. They came up with simple symbols that everyone can understand, that will lead you to whatever you might need, and so on. You have user interface designers. These are the kinds of designers that are more involved with creating designs and interfaces and visuals for your phones and for your tablets and mobile devices, right? So long as it's something that you're interacting with, even video games have user interfaces, right? So long as it's something that you're interacting with, user interface designers specialize in creating graphic designs for those. You have advertising creatives, much more like me, na we create various designs for ads. You have illustrators na pwedeng for personal work, pwede for artistic use lang, or a mix of both. It could kind of branch out to being environmental designers, man, so long as they're hired for something like that. And you have motion graphic designers who specialize in creating visuals meant for animation, right? Much like yung mga pinapakita ko earlier in my reel, motion graphic designers are people who make graphic designs that will eventually be animated and moved, right? So next, big part of multimedia arts, it's video and film production. So you have directors, writers, cinematographers, editors, and animators. Again, like me. Na our main thing is really in terms of telling stories through motion. By the way something acts, moves, is framed, is composed, we can tell people and make people feel what we want them to feel. We can communicate things to them and help them understand na, okay, if we shoot something a certain way, it will feel and look different. And I'll show you this as a bigger and broader example later when I go through the production section of this presentation. Right? You have sound and audio production. People like live sound recordists, engineers, sound designers, Foley recorders, mixers, and producers. These are people who know na, again, you can communicate something huge with nothing but audio. Either via something that like a song where you have instruments and vocals working together, or via just making something sound and feel like it's from a certain space, right? Good example of that is if you hear like the sound of wind. Like there's a certain level of the sound of wind that if you just hear it by itself, it feels lonely, right? Because wind doesn't sound like that unless it's completely empty. So that's what that kind of thing reminds you of, right? Oh, wait, before I go on that. Why are these things kind of important? And why is it in multimedia? Why is it that in multimedia, everyone gets to learn everything? Why is it in multimedia arts, you learn how to be a director, a producer, a music producer, and why is it you learn how graphic design works for it? But ang daming halo-halo in the same course. The real purpose that that's the way it is for multimedia arts is because you will be working with all the other people in multimedia arts. Meaning, let's say you are a typographer. Let's say you are a graphic designer, right? You might still end up working with something like a sound designer or a director on whatever project you might be working on. Because that's what multimedia entails. It entails na, okay, maghahalo-halo kasi it's gonna come up in the same place. It's gonna be shown in the same place. Meaning, it's important for you to understand how the other aspects of multimedia and media works so that it all works together properly, right? I wouldn't, for example, create designs that are too bold and large and distracting if I knew there was going to be a video that's also going to be playing alongside all of the other stuff that's going to be there. I wouldn't, for example, make music that is too soft, too humble, generally more ambient, if I knew na yung kakalabas naman the video and graphics is going to be very loud and fast moving, right? So yeah, Okay. So right now, I want everyone to get ready sana for a quick exercise. Oops. I'm going to be moving on to the last portion of class. Or actually, before I move on, does anybody have any questions real quick? Does anybody have any questions about multimedia specifically before we move on to lighting and video production? Any questions at all about multimedia arts, about what multimedia is, or maybe of the professions, or maybe if you have questions on any other jobs that might not be listed here, but you know is a multimedia thing. Anybody have any questions? You can unmute yourself or just type it out here. I'll wait. Anybody have any quick questions? Nanaman? Anyone? All right. Sige. We'll move on then. I do want everyone to participate in this next part though, either through chat or if you want to unmute yourself. Pero we'll do a quick class on lighting. The reason I'm doing this is one of the kinds of classes we're going to be we would have in the College of St. Anthony for the future if you take multimedia arts in our course, right? Since lighting is a part of video production, right? This is what one typical class would be like or should be like in the future, right? Although hopefully more hands-on. I want you guys to look at the next few slides. These are going to be frames for movies. Arguably, lahat sa halos is going to be from Marvel movies because I just binge watched most of them recently. Pero I want you guys to look at them sana. And quickly type nyo lang kung ano yung nafe-feel nyo about that frame just based on what you see, right? Just based on what you see. Do you feel happy? Do you feel sad? Do you feel scared? Do you feel threatened? Okay? Natatakot ba? Nakakatakot ba siya? Siga ba yung feeling niya? Anything at all na you guys feel towards what you see on the frame. All right? I'll give each frame around mga 30 seconds and then we'll move on. Pero I want to see sana, ano ba yung naranasan nyo na feelings towards whatever I'm going to be showing in the images. All right? I hope everyone's on board with this. Everyone's ready? Yeah? Guys, okay lang on chat if you guys are ready. Kung okay kayo. Yeah? Okay naman? Ready? Ready naman? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, sige. When I show you, tapon nyo lang. Gusto ko na makita mo bilis rin. Ano na-feel nyo when you see the image? All right? And 3, 2, 1, poop. Okay. Ano na-feel nyo dito? Danger? Scary? Mysterious. Scary. So may mga magkakaparehas na answers na. May mga mysterious, may mga horror, mga scary. That's good. Curious. Okay. Okay, now quick. Ano yan? Sorry? Somebody said something? Okay lang magsalita. Anyone? Okay. Quickly. Sagot rin kayo quickly kaagad. What makes you feel that here? Bakit scary? Bakit curious? Bakit mysterious? Bakit horror? Why do you think nararamdaman yan? It's because of the dark colors? Because of the color red? Because of the dark aura daw? What else? Any more answers? Hindi mo makita yung identity ng person, right? Okay. That's me, by the way. That's me lang, by the way. Pero ano pa naranasan niya? Because silhouette siya, hindi mo identify yung person. Alright. Pero, nakikita niyo, diba? May similarities naman sa mga nararamdaman natin lahat dito, diba? We feel scared. We feel thrilled. We feel suspenseful. Right? The red color. And medyo similar rin yung yung reasons why. It's because of the color red. It's because hindi natin makita yung mukha niya. Cyril actually brings out a good answer in, which is the angle. We are looking up at something, meaning they are looking down at us. right? And that means it puts us in a position na medyo mababa tayo, medyo in a position of lower power tayo, right? Right, we're gonna do it a lot more times ulit, okay? So again, could you just say ready or game na? For the next slide, we're gonna quickly say ready. Ano yung feel natin for the next slide? Can everyone just say ready kung ready na sila? Yeah, ready? Okay. So when I put up the next slide, sabihin nyo lang kaagad, quickly, ano na feel nyo? Alright. Go. What do you feel? Ano yung nafe-feel niya for this? Although walang motion to. Tension, suspense, loneliness. Okay. Cold. Tense. So, gusto ko pa makita yung mga ano, yung pa naranasan na. Kasi gusto ko makita yung mga similar ones. Lonely, lone ran, cold. Very cold nga for a lot of this. Okay. I keep this going for another 15 seconds pa. Okay. I want you now to write down then why you think that is what they feel. Why do you think you're getting, ito yung mga similarities na lumalabas sa inyo, cold. Why does this feel cold? Why does this feel lonely or isolated? Dull because of the color blue. Pwede mo rin sabihin cold because of the color blue, right? At that point, right? What else? Any other answers? Feels tense right now. She's looking down, doesn't look happy. Good naman. Yeah. That's totally valid for naman too. Pero I like Ren that so far, a lot of the reasoning na sinasabi niyo lonely has less to do so far with her face nga rin. Pero her face matters here too. It's just that you see a lot of the light motivating how we feel about it naman though, right? Because of the color of the light, because blurry in background, you're all right. When it's blurrier, actually, you feel more separated from the background. It feels further away. Makes you feel more lonely. Right? The lighting, right? Because, yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm happy with that. Sige, let's go again. Everyone just say ready quick. Mag-ready kayo. I'm gonna count down for the next one. Could you just say ready quick? Okay. Ready. Okay. Gusto ko talaga mabilis eh. When I change it, gusto ko sana, okay, this is what I feel. Gusto ko kung ano yung instinct nyo na, okay, ito talaga nararamdaman ko as soon as I see this. So, as soon as makita nyo yung next slide, answer ka agad ah. Okay, ready? Since ready na kayo. 3, 2, 1, and boom. This one. What do you feel? Not just one person anymore, right? Feels like death. Madali naman onte. Pero go lang. Grief, death, tension, ran. Grief, tension, war. Someone said war. Interesting. Death, grief. Does anybody know where this is from by any chance? Ren, kung alam nyo, feel free to just say it. Yep, thank you, Ron. That's exactly where it is. At least alam nyo kung ano yung viewing history ko ngayon. Okay. So same thing, more or less. We're all coming to some kind of agreement naman, right? Feels like death, feels like grief, feels heavy, no? And nararamdaman nyo yung heaviness na yun. Pero why do you think that is naman for this? It's not the same lighting in any sense. There's tension, Ren, right? There's still tension here, but it's not blue anymore necessarily. It's more white, Ren, right? There's still hints of blue and green actually in this area. But what do you think is the reason that we feel differently naman? Anybody have any answers? It doesn't have to be lighting, Ren. I'm happy with non-lighting answers. There's lots of answers here that doesn't have anything to do with lighting, Ren. Pero I'm happy with lighting, Ren, as an answer. Muted colors. Muted colors is a good answer. What else? No? Nobody? Okay. Gestures. I'm happy with that answer. But it's easy to feel sad when you see lots of people feeling sad. When you see everyone looking down and having more or less roughly the same expression. It's easy to feel that grief when everyone else is doing that already, is acting that grief out properly. Okay. Quickly, everyone ready up ulit? Can you everyone say ready ulit? I'm gonna move on to the next one. Ready naman? Okay. Marami pa to. Okay. Ready? Ready, ready. Okay. 3, 2, 1, and... Okay, this is me naman pala. What do you feel? What does anyone feel about this? Noir, mysterious. Mysterious rin. Anxiety. Parang nasa mafia. Stressed. Okay, medyo mas kalat to. Alright? Wala pang nagsasabi ng same one. Crime, sabi ng iba. Ominous, deep thinking. Anything else? Any other answers? Anxiety. Depression. Pwede rin. Okay. Now, reasons. Why do you think that is? Why do you feel na yun yung... Because of yung action niya. Because of the color and the posing. Okay, what else? Because pitch black siya. Yeah, pretty much. Walking slowly from light to dark. That's a good answer, actually. High contrast siya. Yep, pretty much. Okay, I'm glad everyone's well versed naman. Ready up? Everyone ready ulit? I think halfway pa lang tayo at this point. Ready? Okay, ready, ready, ready? Everyone ready? Okay, sige. Quickly, what do you feel? Write nyo agad. And the next one, and go. Sorry, Winter Soldier ulit. Pero. Okay. Lonely, therapeutic, enlightened, compelled. Okay. Has a lot of things in his mind. Sa mga sinagot nyo, pa-explain na rin. Why do you think, why did you say what you said? Why did you say, for example, that he looks enlightened? Why do you think he looks like he has a lot of things in his mind? Is it the way he's posed? Is it the light? Is it his face? Right? Write down nyo kung ano yung, why you feel kunyari na restorative siya. It's his face daw. Because of ano. Mostly his face here. All right. He's lonely probably because solitary siya. Yeah. It says a lot rin naman. Yun nga it surprisingly communicates a lot rin naman when you see just one person in a frame, especially when there's a lot of empty space around him. It's the body language niya. Correct. Oops, I forgot to say ready. Quickly, say what what do you feel on this one? This one's a very old movie. Pero what do you feel about this one? Uncomfortable? Ano pa? What do you guys feel? Tense, forced. Okay, interesting. Threatened, romance, uneasy, imprisoned, tension. I like where everyone's going with this. Unbearable romance. Okay. I'll tell you guys what this is about after I hear why you think why you said. Can you guys defend? Why did you say that it feels imprisoned? Why does it feel like tension? Why does it feel like threatened? Why does it feel disagreeable or unbearable and so on? Can anyone give their answers, man? Shadows, firing prison bars, pretty good. I'm glad to notice mo yan. Okay, what else? Why did you say danger? Or why do you say romance, actually? Why did somebody say romance? Why did you feel tense? Okay. Any other answers? Any other answers before I explain what this is about? Sarah, man, parang uncomfortable. Okay, sige. I know this is the only one I'm going to be doing this for, pero natutuwa kasi ako sa mga answers niyo. Pero I'll explain what this one is. This is Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love. I think 1994 movie to. This is about two people. These two people, they found out na ang sakit sabihin na 1994 is vintage kasi panahon ko. Pero okay. Ano yan? They both found out na their partners are cheating on them with each other. Meaning, yung wife ng guy na to and yung husband ng girl na to, they're having an affair together. Right? So silang dalawa, these two people are being cheated on. Right? Now, while they're talking to each other, they're kind of finding out, okay, wait lang, they're falling in love with each other rin. So, hirap. Right? Pero, unlike the husband and wives, their respective husband and wife, they choose not to cheat. They choose to be better, by not by not following through with how they feel for each other. So I'm glad everyone said imprisoned. I'm glad said everyone feels my unbearable romance or my danger, because that's how they feel. That is totally how they feel. They love each other. They're not gonna act on it. They're trapped in this feeling. They're trapped in this experience. But yeah. All right, everyone ready up ulit, please, if you don't mind. Ready? Okay, good. And next one. What do you feel about this image? Curiosity? Interrogation? What do you think this image is communicating to you? Anybody else? Focus on Loki. I guess siya yung may hot spotlight, pero go on. What does this feel like? What do you think is happening? What do you think are we being made to feel? Any other answer? Hot seat? Fair enough. Anything else? Pressured Ren. Yeah, pretty much. And you can see that a lot rin naman again. I'll start answering na for you guys, pero just to keep this going. Pero it's done a lot by the lighting. Right? Hindi naman ganun ka-intense yung lighting sa kanya, di ba? Pero to him, there is a spotlight on him. We know who we're supposed to focus on talaga. Pero he probably feels that intensity. Rin. Right? He's in a hotter light than he is. Right? I think I have a few more, or we can keep going na lang. Also from Loki. I'd say for the if you want to answer pa, it's cool, Ren. Although I'll keep this going there, Ren. It's intense. I'm gonna persuade. My danger, my feeling of danger, and it's a red light from a mostly white light. Like most of the other lights are white. Like yung sa shoulder ng guy na to is white, sa likod ng girl is white, but this illuminating key light on her is mostly reddish, right? So very angry and dangerous. Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, that's more on the feel of that. Right. I'm gonna show you one last clip, Ren. Just by the lights that you'll see here, who do you think is there? Right? I need everyone to say ready, Ren, before I press play on this. Can everyone quickly say ready? And okay, sige. Who do you think is there just by the lights that you see when you see the lights? All right. Who do you think is there? It's police, right? Why do you think it's police? I like using this as an example, pero why do you think it's police? Although it's obvious, right? It's because it's blue and red. So what does that mean usually? It means usually may bangwang siya. Usually sa atin, may mga kulay na associated lang talaga. May mga lights na associated tayo with certain feelings, certain things. Right? Na okay, makukulong siya or something dangerous is gonna happen and so on. Right? So what does that say? For lighting, just lighting muna. What does that say? Lighting, apart from just making something look prettier naman, is another tool lang for all of us, for people in multimedia. It's just another tool for storytelling. Okay? I'm telling you a story, I'm trying to communicate something to you, specifically just through lighting. Right? By however I make something look darker or brighter, and where it's pointed, at what angle it's pointed, you can totally make somebody feel something different. You can make and imply the presence of something that completely isn't there. Right? That shot I showed you of yung sinabi niyo, police. It's not like may police naman talaga dun, right? Ilaw lang yan. There's just something that I'm turning on to give that feeling, but wala naman talaga, right? So in that sense naman though, knowing that they're tools, we should know how to play with those tools. We should know when we're collaborating with other people, we should know to tell them, okay, if I tell you I want a key light and a fill light, and that's all I want, other people who work with you need to know what that means. And need to know na may mga standards nga talaga. Ito yung mga simple wordings and terms for certain kinds of lighting setups for when we're building any kind of scene and situation together. Though wala namang hard line na isang kind of lighting setup for any kind of emotion, you can usually mix and match that since it's all perception naman in the end. Knowing how to achieve those kinds of lighting setups is important. All right. So right now I'm gonna go through towards the last part of this discussion. I'm gonna tell you guys some fundamental lighting techniques. All right. So first, I'm gonna show you key light. So what's a key light? Key light's usually just your main single light that is pointed to you. For me right now, if I show you, there is a key light in front of me right now. Right? But this whole thing is not natural. This is all a lighting setup. And this key light, if I just turn this off, suddenly I'm just really, really dark. Right? Hardly, you can barely see me. Right? But if I say that, I want this key light, if I tell somebody, I want this key light to come from his left side or his right side, or I want it to come from up top, him, then somebody will understand, okay, the strongest light that will be pointed towards the main subject, i.e., for this moment, for this moment, it's me, right? You can give them that instruction, right? So the next, good examples. Here's some good examples of the usage of key light. Now, since the key light is really just a single point of light, you can kind of use it for lots of different purposes talaga. You can make it feel absolutely dangerous, like in here with James Bond. Or kind of romantic, kind of close and unique, very aesthetically pleasing when used, for example, here on Uma Thurman's face, right? Hindi siya single-use light. In a huge way, the context will still matter. Pero it's a really good way of revealing a lot of the contours of the face of a person, right? What do I mean by that? You know, for example, just how big the nose of James Bond is in this image. Or you know just how smooth and rounded the curves of the lines of the nose and lips of Uma Thurman are here, for example, right? Pero again, because it's a single light, you're not gonna see most of their face. You can imply something like that, make it more you can't see most of their face. That means it's mysterious. Sure, pero because you're losing a lot of that information, it might feel scarier, it might feel darker, and so on. So we balance that out by using something else. We balance that out by using something called a fill light. So what's a fill light? If the key light, if for example here, I'm going to show you again. If I have a key light here, having just the light on this side pointing towards me means that I am creating a shadow on the other opposite side, which means I use something like an extra light. I'm going to use right now. I can balance out whatever wait lang. There you go. I can balance out all the shadows that I've created by just having one light and filling out the rest of the shadows with a second light. So now I have two lights coming in, preventing the shadows and balancing out my face. And since I have made my second light weaker, whoops, since I made my second light weaker, hindi siya balance. Like the shadows are just weakened, but not completely taken away. So if I show you, for example, here, I have a key light coming in from the right side of this image, but the fill light here is just balancing out that shadow, making it less dark. So if I bring it back to your previous example of just the key light, ang harsh ng shadow ko dito compared. Or now with the fill light, it fills out yung dark area, right? But now that I've shown you this though, may nakikita ka na weakness ng just having a key light and a fill light. Like for example, in this image, my shirt is black and my hair is black and the background is black. Meaning, nagbe-blend yung background with my shirt and my hair. So there needs to be an answer to that. There needs to be something called a backlight. So a backlight is a light that is pointed directly behind on your back, right? Currently, I have one backlight right here. If you could see, there is a light shining pointed here. This is what the backlight pretty much does. It lights and edges your body and gives it contrast from the body and gives contrast between the body and the background. So like here, you see, in this example, there's just one light pointed behind it. Neither of these other lights are turned on. So yeah. Again, backlights are important. It can be used in lots of different ways, right? If you want to make somebody look more mysterious, even more mysterious than the samples I showed you kanina, completely obscuring the face, but instead revealing the form of the body, it could be very sensual, it could be very sexy, but it could be very mysterious and scary if you wanted it to. Again, the context matters. Of course, if it's a woman doing this, and if it's just a person showing off the curves of their body and so on, that's one thing. But if that person is carrying a knife, the context becomes completely different, diba? If that person is carrying a gun, suddenly it's not so sexy anymore. It's just something that's dangerous, right? Or mysterious and so on, right? Context matters. But that said though, you can communicate something by showing something in this light. So that's just specifically, again, a light pointed behind you. Okay, what happens if I have all of these things in play? You have 3-point lighting, right? 3-point lighting is by far the most basic, I guess, most well-practiced lighting that they do in studio, photography, film shoots, and so on. Like everybody uses this kind of lighting because it is the most obviously useful kind of lighting. Simple lang siya. You separate, you completely communicate the person that you need to show, right? You show both sides of their face and also separate them from the background properly, right? It's a combination of having all your key light, your fill light, and your backlight. Now that said, that does not mean that this is the only way to light a person. It's just a great and convenient way to light a person, especially when you need something simple lang. If I tell somebody, if I'm a director and my cinematographer is like, direct, anong gagawin ko? Anong gagawin natin na setup para sa ganito? And I just say, regular 3-point lang. Regular 3-point lighting lang. They will immediately know what to do without having to ask, saan mo gusto yung ilaw? they'll know, okay, 3-point lighting lang. All I have to do is set up this very basic, very fundamental lighting technique. All right. Pero again, you can mix and match the directions and the positions of all the lights to give you very different effects, right? And using the knowledge of those three key kinds of lights, the key light, the fill light, and the backlight, uh, we can achieve a lot of different effects. So let's see those kinds of effects now. Okay. Oh, sorry, one more. Other examples of 3-point lighting. Again, matching with very different kinds of scenes. You have here Schindler's List, for example. Using 3-point light to separate him from the background, fill him just a little bit so hindi nakatago completely yung mukha niya, but fill him from the upper left side to reveal his eyes more than anything, right? Very mysterious, very dark, very sad movie, but on a different context, on an action movie, on the face of somebody like Chris Evans here from Avengers, could be very different. Or in something like Pitch Perfect, I'm not sure if one or two though. You have something like 3-point lighting the entire group of people with a very, very heavy light backlight, separating all of the characters from each other, right? And filling out and keying out their faces properly, right? So another thing I want to show you that you can do, if I say split light, for example, to somebody, this is what it would mean. So a split light is a single key light positioned in a way that it splits directly half the face of the subject, right? So if you see right here in the example, it's right on the right side of my face here, and it creates this effect, right? Nagkakalinya na nagkakat specifically ng mukha, right? Again, could be completely used for a variety of effects, right? It could be on a storytelling perspective. It could be something that you use, like he's making a split decision, like a very, very 50-50 decision. Or you can have something like these two, which is really, very, very interesting, wherein you have a woman who's about to get possessed. She's going to be split into two, right? Or you have this, wherein the movie itself is called Split, right? What does that mean? In this movie, James McAvoy has multiple personalities, so split siya, right? Yeah, it can be very literal, although it can be just a very dramatic effect lang rin in general. Alternatively, you can do split lights with fill just to make it less dangerous looking. So instead of just having the hard key light on your right side, on the direct left side, on the direct opposite side, you have a fill light na mas light, not as strong as the key light, to kind of like reveal a little part of the face. What is this good for? It's good for a lot of different things. Pero what it does rin is it gives you a clear picture of the front of your face pa rin, while creating a shadow at the front of your face at the same time. So if you notice, clear naman yung both sides ng face ko dito, left and right, but there is a shadow right in front rin, crossing over near the center of my face, right here, right? So because there's shadows, it still adds and allows for contours, right? Like this. On a storytelling perspective, spoilers if hindi niya pa napapanood to, this is from a movie called Fight Club, wherein these two people are actually the same person. So on a storytelling perspective, they're using a split light with fill here because they're mirroring each other, kind of. It's the same person. It melds together. Moving on. You have flat lights. Flat lights are two lights of the same strength, roughly in front of you, not directly in front of you, usually on the left and the right of you at the same time, right? But it's pointed directly at you, right? So what's flat light used for usually? It's used for ethereal scenes. You want things to look like heaven, or you want things to look very flat, very unrecognizable, Particularly good Ren for for older faces because because you're no longer casting shadows, right? Mas nawawala yung mga creases and wrinkles ng mga tao. So for something like flat lighting, you end up reducing the amount of shadows on the face completely, almost, right?
I'm not sure I understand.
Great. Okay. And this is something called the butterfly light. The butterfly light is a soft light positioned right at the center of your body and roughly in front of you and pointed down ng onti lang, right? So what is the butterfly light? Why is it called butterfly light? Just to make it simple. It's because since it's at the very center of your body, Ren, it creates a symmetrical shadow right under your nose that kind of looks like a butterfly. I didn't name this, please forgive me. But if you look at the nose, my nose here, symmetrical and perfectly symmetrical yung shadow sa ilalim ng nose ko. And that's why it's called butterfly light. But yeah, if you tell somebody, okay, I just want a butterfly light on this person, it just means you want a light to be directly in the front of the face of the person you're gonna shoot. Slightly higher lang na onte, right? Why is butterfly light used usually? It's really good for portraiture. It's really nice for showing, again, the contours of somebody's face, but very softly. Not as hard or as harsh as the other ones. Not as harsh as, for example, split light or even split fill or 3-point, right? You can even use butterfly light with a backlight. Like, for example, with these, to separate them from the background pa rin, unlike this one. Right? Separate them from the background pa rin, but give a soft front foreground. Right? And lastly, not lastly pa pala. You have Rembrandt light rin. Rembrandt, if you are familiar with Rembrandt, is an artist na famous for this kind of painting style na it's as if palaging lit in the same way yung mga tao. If you notice, there is like a triangular shape of light on my cheek here. So Rembrandt lighting is usually pointed to the right or left of a person and slightly above, pero pointing downwards to a person. So because it's pointing downwards, it's creating a shadow for your it's creating a shadow for your eye socket. So let me quickly see if I can do Rembrandt real quick. So Rembrandt would be something like this. See how nagkakaroon ng, oops, opposite side. Nagkakaroon ng, oops, sorry. Whoa, not that one. Dito pala. Nagkakaroon ng kind of triangular shape dito. Same for this one. There's a triangular shape here. I'll see if I have examples for this. Again, it's usually specifically for it's used specifically because aesthetically pleasing lang siya. Lumalabas yung cheekbone mo, lumalabas yung cheeks ng tao by having it pointed directly there. It's called Rembrandt. Does anybody see? I hope clear naman sana to. Because when I was your age, hindi klaro sa akin to. Pero it's this specific light here na lumalabas. Naka-angle lang yung light in a way na it kind of contours your face that way. All right. Yeah, that's it. That's everything. If anybody has any other questions about lighting, about multimedia arts, this would be the time for you guys to ask me. What do you guys feel about multimedia arts? And if you have any clarifications of anything about lighting and so on that you have, please let me know. Otherwise, as for the point of this, yeah, I'm, one more time, Anthony Coralejo. I am the Dean at the College of St. Anthony, and this is what I teach really for a living now. I teach at the College of St. Anthony. If you guys are interested possibly in pursuing, of course, or pursuing multimedia arts, and becoming a graphic designer, a video producer, a director, or an illustrator or music producer, I really urge you guys to maybe check out College of St. Anthony. Baka tumataypan nyo. Especially if you want to be a creative someday. If you want to go into these kinds of this kind of profession someday. I'd like to open that up sana. But yeah, if you're interested by any for any reason, please visit us on Facebook. Just search College of St. Anthony on Facebook, and I'm sure you'll be able to find us there. Magkano kinikita ng multimedia artist? That's a really good question. Be more specific muna. And I can kind of give you a better answer, Ren. Pero it can go very, very high. It can be very, I can say and simply say na pwede maging malaking kinikita ng multimedia artist depending on their position. And it really depends on their position. Ren. Usually my corporate ladder or my regular ladder, Ren, for multimedia artists. But it depends, Ren, at the start, which kind we're talking about. So, kasi multimedia artist is the broad term, right? So yung mga sinasabi ko sa iyo kanina na professions is more of how you should look at it. Magkano kinikita kaya ng director, for example? Magkano kinikita ng cinematographer? Magkano kinikita ng graphic designer, and so on. In which case, I would still say, for example, on a normal, pwedeng mag-umpisa yung graphic designer and lower position film person. Like, kunyari ako mag-umpisa ko muna maging production assistant or assistant camera person. Usually, it's easy to say something like 15 to 20 a month at the starting for multimedia artists for any of these positions. Now that said, magiging stale rin yun down the line. It really depends on kung ano yung final position na hinahabol mo in the multimedia line. What does that mean? Gusto mo kitain yung pinakamalaking kinikita, you have to become either a producer or a director for film. You have to become a creative director in graphic design. You have to become a producer in music. And yun yung may mga pinakamalaking kinikita. And that's medyo you're talking about a range na masyadong malaki at that point. I've met directors who've been working for a long time na yung kinikita nila somewhere upwards of 50 to 100K a month. I've also met directors na yung kinikita nila upwards of 2 million a month. Right? So, masyadong malaki yung range na yun. Pero, again, you have to reach there. You have to work up to that talaga. Victoria says, mas maganda po ba yung freelance yung graphic designer or naka-contract sa isang company? Walang mas maganda na. Specifically because may benefits parehong thing depending on who you are. If mas mahilig ka talaga, mas mahilig ka na free yung time mo and bahala ka sa time mo basta nagagawa mo yung trabaho and kaya mo pagtiyagaan na maghanap ng clients by yourself, it's easier to go free. It will be good for you to be freelance. That said, if nag-contract ka sa company, you might end up earning less because that's really how it goes. Mas onti yung kinikita ng naka-contract usually as compared to a freelancer. Pero at least sure na may project ka every month. And regular yung jobs mo. Like kahit wala kang job per se sa company, wala silang nahanap na project per se, naka-contract ka sa kanila which means binabayaran ka pa rin regularly. Right? So hindi ko pwede sabihin there's one good answer. It depends on the person talaga. Bjorn says, what if you're new to this topic but you're interested in it? I recommend you pursue a course on multimedia arts, especially if interested ka sa any one of those aspects. At least yun yung kailangan ko specify. Kailangan interested ka at least for one of those aspects. Interested ka ba in making films, videos, or interested ka ba in making illustrations and designs and so on, or making and mixing music and so on. Kailangan may interest ka muna. And then if you want to if you want to enroll in College of St. Anthony, to pursue that kind of line of work down the line, I'd recommend we have a good course naman in College of St. Anthony. I would also say that if you want to do some more research onto it, YouTube's there and has a lot of good resources for multimedia arts, especially for film and graphic design, right? What are the benefits of and contributions of multimedia arts in society? Multimedia arts, I think it's hard to say na flat out my benefits in multimedia arts society. It's easier to say that multimedia arts, just like anything, is a tool, right? And depending on how you use that tool, you come out with an outcome for society. Meaning, I can use multimedia arts in a bad way, and it'll be a detriment to society. That said, multimedia art being such a powerful tool, if I use it in a proper way, if I use it in a way na, okay, I'll use multimedia arts to promote environmentalism or promote human rights and so on, then it can be used as a good tool for society, right? So in a huge way, yun nga bahala yung tao in how they use it. Just like social media, for example. You can use social media in so many different ways, both in detrimental way to society or also in a positive manner. So it really has everything to do with how you use it. That said, the best thing I can say about multimedia arts, even if you don't practice it per se, if you understand multimedia arts in a huge way, knowing how multimedia works in general makes you less susceptible to lies in general when they use multimedia. Meaning, if I post something na fake news naman online, somebody can go see it. If somebody has already studied multimedia and sees it, they can kind of assess na parang, okay, no, this can't be real. And wouldn't just be uto-uto towards any kind of news and so on. What are good alternatives for 3-point lighting, DIY lighting? So you have 2 soft boxes. Okay. I would say if dalawa lang yung main lights mo, I would use a reflector or even just cartolina. Why is that? Because you can turn any sheet of paper into a reflector and therefore another source of light. Let me give you an example. Okay, meron akong canvas dito. I'm gonna turn off my key light. Okay. So now I only have my backlight, right? Which means yung litaw na lang yung backside ng mukha ko. But if I use the reflection of the light on this and face it to me, nadadagdagan ko pa ng onting ilaw yung mukha ko, even though medyo hirap with this. If I have something more reflective, you can end up having a third light, right? So since softer naman to, I would use a key light pointed at me, pero also pointed at a reflector para may fill ako. And then the other box light na DIY ko, gagamitin ko as a backlight pa rin. So you can end up having 3 lights pa rin if you want to force having a 3-point lighting. That said, alternatively rin, I would say maybe a butterfly and a backlight. Like what I said earlier, naka-center na lang sa mukha mo. And then you have a backlight pa rin. Kasi importante pa rin yung backlight. You really need that separation from the background to make yourself distinct from everything else. I'm sorry, is anyone getting a good answer? Like their questions answered? May ano pa ba kayo? Do you have any clarifications, Ren, to anything you're asking? It's okay, you can keep asking them while I'm here. It'll be more useful, Ren, for you guys. Any other questions pa? Anybody have any more questions? Kaya? In relation to both multimedia arts and to lighting in general, or kahit video production in general, pwede rin. Anybody have any other questions? what is the most important thing needed to be qualified in the multimedia art? Kailangan at least may isa kang media na. I would say that. Kailangan may isang media na kaya mo ma-create. Like not, to be qualified in the multimedia arts course, you probably have to just apply, right? Pero to be a multimedia artist down the line, as in past college, you want to clarify what you're asking here? Past college or to qualify in school? Past college? Okay. Kailangan magaling sa isang piece of media. Right? Meaning, kailangan marunong ka either ng graphic design, marunong ka na either ng videography, or cinematography, or directing, marunong ka na typesetter. As in, at least one of those things. So if you can call yourself a graphic designer at least, you can probably carry on having a profession as a multimedia artist. Pero kailangan kailangan master mo yung isang piece of media. Or sanay ka sa isang piece of media. Mahirap ba magka-internship sa graphic design? Depende sa company, I would say. Especially these days, I would say. Especially these days, since mag-ECQ na naman, mas mahirap magkaroon ng internship. Pero usually, it has more to do with the company that you're interning under. Right? I would say that the better thing to target wouldn't be per se ad agencies. Ad agencies kasi is where the money is at for graphic design. Right? They have the most money, they will pay you the most, and they will have the most consistent amount of work. That said, hindi siya yung best place per se to grow creatively as an artist. Hindi per se yun yung best place na matututo ka. Right? So I'd look for a studio instead of a agency. Right? Anong difference ito? Ad agency is a multi-level multimedia company, meaning they do the writing, they do the the graphic design, they sometimes do the shoot themselves, they sometimes do the video and so on, they do the integration, the brand integration for online, they do a lot of things, right? So if let's say I'm a graphic designer and I want to intern and I go to an ad agency, maliit lang ako na thing sa kanila, right? Sideline lang ako na thing, and sideline lang na thing yung graphic design para sa kanila, right? Now that said, if you find a studio, like specifically a graphic design studio, na all they do is graphic design, then you might have a better chance of learning a lot from them. Kasi, yun lang ginagawa nila, right? So it'll be better off for you to learn from them kasi expertise nila lahat yung graphic design. Hindi yung kalat yung utak nila and marami silang ibang iniisip na ibang professions and so on. Did that answer your question, Victoria? Any other questions? Anyone else? You have me for another 6 minutes. Any other questions? Yeah, just find a design studio Victoria. I think it would be a better choice over just just an ad agency. Nothing against ad agencies. There are other big advantages to ad agencies, right? Specifically the connections. If you can meet a lot of people in ad agencies, I have had a lot of colleagues and friends who started in ad agencies and then became freelance after, and they never ran out of projects because of all of the friends they made in ad agencies. So that is a good strategy. One that I've seen a lot of people pull off. That is something you can do. Any other questions? Anyone else? What programs usually need for video editing? Sa CSA, we provide the programs you're going to be using. During your stay there, you're going to have the programs yourself naman. Pero we encourage mostly Adobe programs specifically because standard yung Adobe, like industry standard yung Adobe programs. So important na uh, important na up to par yung mga graduates ng CSA to whatever is gonna be expected from professionals in the future. So we try to stick as much as possible to like Adobe programs because yun yung expected and used ng industry most of the time. Advice for aspiring animators. My advice is to keep watching lots of different animators too, and follow people that you think are good animators. I can give you like it's important to keep studying as an animator. So I would say that the best way for you to learn is to have idols that you can study as much as possible so you can learn as much as possible from them. A good place to get inspiration for people for like animation, specifically motion graphics, I would say I would recommend if you can go to motionographer.com. Motionographer.com has a lot of collections of really interesting contemporary animation na you can find like if you're ever like in a rut na parang like ano kaya yung interesting na bagong thing na gawin. You can go to motionographer.com, find a lot of what new people make. Alternatively, another source of good animation is YouTube. And there's a lot of good animators here, but I would like to recommend one specific place. Is Gobelins. So Gobelins is where animation theses go. Like really good animation thesis. So these are all usually done by individual people as their thesis project. So really big recommended that you can watch. You watch Goblins. It's really amazing here. Another big recommendation is to have again idols. My specific perfect idols for animations is Saul Bass. Saul Bass used to be the animator for a lot of intros for the opening of movies and is one of the first animators to win an Academy Award. Another good one to follow if you want to find good inspiration for animation is Ash Thorpe, which is an animator who became an expert in user interface animation, pero a lot of his work kind of came out in like Marvel movies. If you ever see them using computers and so on in Marvel movies, siya yung nag-animate ng lahat ng mga yon, and that was always amazing for me. So that's another good place for inspiration for animation. So that's my advice for animators. Find somebody you like to follow na okay, ang galing ng work niya, and learn as much as you can from them. Sir, how about next year? Would it still be online because I'm in a different country? We can only enroll online. I am not sure. I think we're gonna continue offering the online as an option for now, but I do not have a full-on answer for you yet if it's going to continue being online next year. I would say most likely because this pandemic hasn't really eased up yet. So there. That said, counted naman yung units mo sa course. So there is that as an advantage. So if for any reason you might choose to transfer, counted naman yung units mo. Last question na po pala, anong maganda pong laptop for multimedia artists in your own opinion? 2008 pa po laptop ko. And I need advice on what to buy. Okay. Bare minimum i5 Intel. That's what I would say. And at least a 2015 and onward na i5 Intel or Ryzen. I'm saying specifically for processor lang muna eh. Kasi minimum talaga yon, right? for computers, it's easy to say Intel i5 processor at least, uh, and or if you're a Ryzen person, Ryzen 3600 onward, right? So yun yung mga baseline. If mag-Mac ka, also 2015 onwards. Having a 2008 laptop, I could say I could still probably make it work for professional use, but only because professionals won't be requiring me to use specific programs, right? Meaning, if I want to use current programs of Adobe, hindi na ata enough yung 2008 na laptop. So I'd recommend talaga having something more current, more more updated. Yan. Yan. Any other questions? Or tapos na ba? I'll wrap up then. Then. Yeah, again, thank you so much for watching and coming by my class. Again, I'm Charlie Coralejo. I'm a dean of the College of St. Anthony. If ever you might be interested in taking multimedia arts as a course, really encourage na you drop by and take the course in College of St. Anthony, because we teach and prepare our students to become multimedia artists, either if they want to be a graphic designer, if they want to be a producer, or film director, or cinematographer, and so on. These are all career options that become available after you take our course. So I really encourage you guys to come and learn at our college, and I hope you have a great day. What is the advantage of enrolling to MMA and CSA to other schools that offers the same course? I think a good advantage that we have is particularly just how new we are. I always say that as an advantage, specifically because a lot of courses that do and teach multimedia arts have been doing and teaching it the same way for a while. I wouldn't say specifically which competitors or which other schools do this, but a lot of the older MMA schools have been doing this in a while and established name way of doing it. That said, in CSA, as I'm personally the one teaching MMA rin naman, I try to teach it in a way na contemporary, and that they learn it in the pace and way na they get the most out of it, right? A lot of the references and examples that I choose to have ren are more contemporary, meaning it's probably the things that the students have themselves watched, right? And in that sense, ren, we try to research and watch alongside the students what media that they consume are, meaning mas in line kami in terms of perspective to the students, right? A lot of the practice rin naman kasi in terms of education for multimedia arts, for film more specifically, my examples usually are things from a long time ago. The expert, and there's nothing wrong with that. I would say there's nothing wrong with that, because the people who made films and masterpieces from a long time ago are still credited to be the best at their job, and that's fine. It's just that there's new people coming out every day who do amazing things, and we choose to use those as examples more often. So that's what I would say is the advantage, is that at least we try to be more current and more in line with the perspective of our students. I hope you answered your question. Anything else? One more question. I'm currently enrolled, but I haven't passed papers because of travel ban here in the Middle East. I want to ask regarding the orientation. I am not the person you should be asking for something like that. I would say, I'd say if you have more questions regarding enrollment and orientation, you start your inquiry at the Facebook page of College of St. Anthony, or if there's anyone else from the staff of St. Anthony here who can message Jo over here, please see if you can help Jo out. Pero I'd say you start your inquiry at the College of St. Anthony there might be a registrar there who can give you the proper answers for the questions you're asking. I'm not sure how to answer the one you're asking right now. There you go. There you go. All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, we're all good. Yeah. Hello. Hi. If there's nothing else, oh, that's it. Thank you so much for attending. I hope you guys learned something. Yeah, I've been Anthony Coralejo. I hope you guys learned something new. If you again have any more questions or are interested in the multimedia arts course at College of St. Anthony, you can drop by the College of St. Anthony on Facebook, and you can ask your questions there. And apart from that, yeah, I hope I got you guys interested in trying out multimedia arts. It's honestly a very fun and fulfilling profession. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Bye.